In this video, I'm going to be talking about prepositions. What is a preposition? If we look at the definition of what a preposition is defined as a word placed before a noun or a pronoun to express its relationship to another word in the sentence. It can also be used to express time or movement. So in a preposition is defined as a word which is usually placed before a noun or a pronoun to express its relationship to another word. So it is used before a noun or a pronoun to express the relationship of another word which will come in the sentence. It can also be used to express. So what exactly is a preposition? Let's look at it in a more detailed manner here. A preposition is a word, and almost always a very small, very common word that shows direction. So when it shows direction, we use preposition to here. For example, a letter to you. Alright, when it talks about direction, we use preposition to here. For example, a letter to you. And when it comes to location, we use at or in most cases. For example, at the door. And time, when you use time, we use by. For example, by noon. Or that introduces an object. For example, when we introduce an object, we use of. A basket of apples. Prepositions are typically followed by an object which can be a noun. For example, noon, a noun phrase. A noun phrase here is the door, or a pronoun. You, he, she, these are all pronouns. So what is an example of a preposition? The most common prepositions are, let's look at it, at, by, for, from, in, of, on, to, and with. Other common prepositions are, let's look at all this, above, about, across, after, against, along, among, around, because. So let's look at everything. Because, of, therefore, behind, below, beneath, beside, between, close to, down, during, except, inside, instead of, into, like, near, off, on top of, onto, out of, outside, over, past, since, through, toward, under, until, up, upon, within, without. So these are the other common prepositions. Let's look at the types of prepositions. There are basically three types of prepositions. The first one is prepositions of place or position. The second one is prepositions of time. And the third is prepositions of direction or movement. So these are the three types of prepositions, and we will discuss about it one by one. So preposition of place or time. The prepositions of place show the relationship of place between the nouns to the other parts of a sentence. For example, on, at, in, by, from, to, the words up, down, across, between, among, through, in front of, behind, above, over. So these are all, it all comes under prepositions of place or position. For example, he is at home. At. He came from London. The police broke into the house. I live across the river. So these are the examples of prepositions of place or position. Let's look at prepositions of time. Prepositions of time show the relationship of time between the noun to the other parts of a sentence. So this is the work of prepositions of time. If we look at the prepositions here of time, on, at, in, from, ago, before, till, until, by, etc. These are the most common prepositions of time. For example, he started working at 10 a.m. The company called meeting on 25th October. There is a holiday in December. He has been ill since Monday. These are the examples of prepositions. Let's look at prepositions of direction or movement. Those prepositions that indicate the movement of a person or object from one place to another are called prepositions of direction or movement. For example, Shoma and Sheila walked down the road. The library is located behind the hall. He jumped on the table, seeing the mouse. These are the prepositions of direction or movement. Now, in many situations or many cases, we get caught up or confused with the uses of in, on, or at. So we will try to break it down and make it simple. So generally we use at, in, and on when we talk about the location of things. So when we talk about the location of things, we use in, on, and at. So what do prepositions in these three things tell us about the locations? For example, meet Simon at the end of the road. Here, at. You left the glasses in the bathroom. Is the spider on the wall? These are the three examples, and we will try to look at it in a more detailed manner. Let's look at. So here, at, the preposition at tells us that the following noun is located at a specific point or location. It shows an exact position. So that's the difference between that's the difference between at and in. At tells us the specific location. So for example, she's walking at the entrance. He's sitting on his chair at his desk. Specific location. I work at a bank. So specific. Keep that in mind. Use of in. Preposition in tells us the noun is in an enclosed or which is inside space, surrounded or closed off on all sides. So basically in. That will give you a better idea. Basically when something is inside something, for example, can be in a box, it can be in a room, it can be in a country. So inside, enclosed space. Keep that in mind. Let's look at on. On basically is we use on when it is on the surface. For example, the preposition on tells us that the following noun is located on a surface. Use the preposition on when one thing is attached to or touching something. For example, on the table, on the floor, on the chair. So these are the three examples of the use of preposition. What's the difference between these two sentences? She's at the library. She's in the library. So they're actually correct. in their own way. But let's try to break it down. She's at the library. So here, the emphasis is on her location and the type of place she has gone to. So the emphasis is on her specific location, where she is exactly. Now, if we look at in the library, the emphasis is on the type of building she is in. So I hope that makes it clear. And the library, we're talking about exactly where she is. First floor, second floor, third floor. I'm in the library. In the library, there's emphasis on the type of building she is in. Look at in versus into. We use in to talk about where something is in relation to a larger area around it. Where's Jane? Jane is in the garden. She's in the garden. I've left my keys in the car. Remember, inside the car. We've talked about enclosed or something which is inside. And we use into to talk about the movement of something, usually with a verb that expresses movement. For example, go or come. It shows where something is or was going. For example, where's Jane? She's gone into the house. Helen came into the room. Let's look at some of the confusing prepositions. When used to denote time, after refers to the past and in refers to the future. For example, I will shift to the new house in a week. Mike returned to his hometown after 3 years. So it denotes time in the past. The preposition in the context of time is used before a noun indicating the end of a period of time, while within refers to the time before the end of that period. For example, Rohit shall return in a week, at the end of the week. Rohit shall return within a week, so before the end of a week. On and upon are used to indicate position. On is used when speaking of things at rest, when something is not moving, or when something is not in motion, while upon is used when speaking of things in motion or when things are in action. For example, the child was sitting on the bench. The cat jumped upon the table. Since is used before a noun or phrase to denote some point of time and is preceded by a verb in perfect tenses. However, since never denotes a period of time, but it is correctly used when speaking of past time and can never be used with reference to the present or future time. For example, Alia has been absent since last Friday, so she's still absent. We have not been to the library since last week. So since you haven't been to the library up till now. From is used to denote a point of time. It can be used with all the tenses. However, it must be followed by to, till, or until to indicate the beginning and end of a period of time. For example, the movie show is from 4 to 8 in the evening. Sally will begin her classes from tomorrow. If we look at beside and beside refers to something by the side or of outside, while besides with as means in addition to. So when we use besides, it means in addition to, in other words. So she was standing beside him when they heard the sound. Beside. Now looking at besides fruit or in addition to fruit, he was asked to include more milk in his diet. And before, the preposition before is used in both affirmative and negative sentences to indicate a point of future time, while for is used in negative sentences to denote a period of future time. For example, the show will start before Margot arrives. The show will not start before Margot arrives. The show will not start for another hour. Let's look at by. When expressing the agent or doer of a particular action, by is used, while with is used to relate the instrument to the action done. For example, the sweater was knitted by the local village women with the finest tool. Let's look at till, by, and to. In a sentence, till means up to. So up to that point, till. And by means not later than, THAN. Alright, not later than. And to expresses the place. For example, he stood waiting till the sky turned dark. Minnie will be back by 5 o'clock. I walked to the shop alone. And let's look at above. Used to indicate position above, below, over, and under can be easily confused. Over is the opposite of under, refers to the highest position or space. For example, the horse jumped over the barrier. We hid under the table. So above may be used to indicate that someone or something is at a higher level than something or is directly over it. And over is used to say that someone or something is above someone, or that something is in a higher position above someone or something without touching them. For example, he leaned over the counter to see what was kept on the chair. The helicopter flew above the houses. Below refers to a lower point, while under is used to express the concept of being beneath, below something, or covered by something. So the example is the books were to be stored in the cabinet below the window. Other example of under, we sat under the shade of the tree. So this is it. You can turn to page number 69 and look at your textbook and try to solve the exercises. If you're not able to solve it, feel free to let me know anytime during your class hours. So this is it. If you're not sure, just try to look at it again, read your textbooks as well, and then video explanation again. Thank you.